that this government in the last 3 years have done everything right. We've made mistakes. There could have been other options taken on certain issues, certainly. But I think it's important that we get a balance on it, and I hope that I can do in the few minutes that I have. And I think that the first thing I'd say is that the present, what has been achieved in the last few years is a sense of stability, which kind of replaced the turbulence that was there, that rocked the country and wreaked havoc on the lives of thousands of people. Early on in the 2007 and 8 period and so on, there was predictions that there'd be soft landings and that it'd be a blip and all of that, but that didn't occur. So, there was a mammoth task facing this government when it came into power in 2011. And there was, issues, record number of businesses closing or failing, construction industry imploding, and no funding except from our European neighbours and the IMF. And it added up to what looked like an impossible task. The government had to make difficult decisions, which impacted on every household throughout the country, and by way of affecting employment or income. They were affected in that way. The task, in short, was to reduce the country's spending and at the same time to protect the jobs that were there and to try and create new ones. And on top of this, Ireland's international credibility was at rock bottom, so that had to be restored as well. So there was a whole lot of balls being in the air at the one time, and a whole lot more at micro level throughout all our constituencies and throughout at a lower level. So it wasn't an easy task. Now, there has been many successes in relation to promissory notes, interest rate reduction, 61,000 extra people working last year than the year before, live registers dropping for 20 months in a row and so on. But it's also accepted, I think, that there's a lot of challenges ahead. We still have to balance the budget, matching income with expenditure, and in doing that then has to try and continue to increase employment to get as near as full employment as possible, and to give the thousands of people who had to leave the country or our shores to come back if that's what they want to do. We'll all look at the glass. We can divide here down the middle and say we look at it in half full and the opposition look at it in half empty. I think that there's little progress will be made in that kind of a situation. I'd sum it up by saying this, that I think 3 years ago, no matter what government was involved, if we could have seen ahead 3 years ahead, I think we'd take the situation as it is now altogether. Not the job by no means finished, but a step-by-step approach that has yielded some success. But to those, I suppose, people who haven't a job or who are in mortgage distress or in negative equity, it's little consolation to them. So there are people still hurting despite the stability, despite the platform that has been created. There have been a number of successes, and I suppose in tourism is one of them in the last number of years. The 9% VAT and the abolition of the travel tax, and the marketing of the gathering last year and so on. And Deputy Deasy mentioned there about the jobs being provided, that they weren't spread throughout the country. I think the one thing that from observation, that was spread evenly throughout the country was the effect of all of those things, and the tourism and the gathering and the 9% VAT rate. I saw it at local level in Mayo. In Ireland West Airport, Knock, where there was almost 700,000 passengers came through the airport last year, and I chaired a study group there, and the possibility, or the aim and the target of the recommendations that were made on that report is that would grow that passenger numbers to 1.2 million And I welcome the decision of the government to change the rules where regional funding for regional airports was to be finished at the end of 2014. And that's going to continue for another 10 years, and that there's a recommendation that 36 million is needed to allow the airport to achieve growth and potential, because it's not just an airport it's in Mayo, but it's an airport for the western region and the northwestern region, and thousands of jobs can spin off from the growth potential that is there, right from Donegal to Galway to the Midlands. Even with the immediately after the travel tax was got rid of, there was a number of new flights and 80,000 extra passengers to add on for the coming year. So that will produce another number of jobs. A lot of work has also been done on encouraging inward investment and in creating jobs. A major achievement last year was the 61,000 extra people working than there was the previous year. But in relation to what Deputy Deasy says, the challenge really is to the effect and the positive effect and the green shoots are more in the major urban areas, and I know they need, because of their population, they need that growth, but there is a real problem of getting that down to the smaller towns and villages. In Mayo, for instance, Allergan and Westport and Northgate and Castlebar are expanding, or in the case of Northgate, starting up, but we haven't seen enough of it across the, we had losses in home care medical, and at the moment there's a threat to Elvery's workforce of 700, which there's 180 of them based in Mayo. And it is important that the proposals that the management buy out there, who would guarantee the protection of all the jobs, it's important that the outcome of that is that they're allowed to buy it out and protect those jobs, because 180 jobs in Mayo, I can tell you, is the same as 1,000 jobs here in Dublin. And coming back to the need for the more even spread of job creation around the country, there is a need to review the IDA policies and strategy. My constituency base is Claremorris. There's two major employers there, CEB and D-Care Dental. Both of them came there not through the IDA, but they came through because there was a local connection to the town. And there's I don't know, what is it, 400 or 500 between the two of them, maybe more. I'm not quite sure. But what that shows is that there are lots of places that can need jobs that the criteria that's handed to the IDA means that they don't get them. They're not spread out there. Claremorris has a man's fibre network at the minute, so it's an ideal location, just one of them. So there needs to be that greater spread, 30 or 40 jobs in small towns like Ballyhonus, Kiltimagh, Knock, Charlestown, Swinford or Foxford or Ballinrobe would mean an awful lot, as I said, 500 jobs elsewhere. So the other thing is the local authority, the LEOs as they're called. I think these are good. I think, and I know in our own county, that's the county manager and the head of the enterprise section are really enthusiastic and pushing forward on this, because I think these can mentor small businesses. They can actually, the 2 and 5 and 10 jobs here and there, which are in some ways are more lasting than maybe major ones at times. I think there's an important potential there. So there are challenges ahead, and we talk about a big issue in my own county is the infrastructure that's needed in grid network. And I would have to say that, all of that should only be done as well with community buy-in. And I would have to say that I welcome the Minister's investigation or setting up of the independent commission with regard to the undergrounding of those pylons, because there's no way we can make progress if we're steamrolling our communities. And no, it's not an option just to do nothing either. But I think that we need to have a meeting of minds on this and get community buy-in. So there's a lot of work and progress made. There's a whole lot more needed to be done, and I hope and I have no doubt that this government will not take the eye off the ball in the years ahead.
Deputy Mahoney, Deputy O'Farrell.
Thanks very much, Cathaoirleach. And can I thank the Minister for being present for this ongoing